Alright, so hey guys, welcome back to another video, and this video is going to be dedicated to learning what the quadratic formula is and when it's applied on the SAT or ACT. Alright, let's get started. So first what I want to go over is when you use the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is used when the SAT or ACT references a quadratic equation and they want you to find out what x is. So if you're wondering what a quadratic equation is, usually they're written in this form right here, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So you'll really always see it in that form, or you'll have to solve to get to this place, but that will be pretty simple if they do add it on the SAT or ACT. Alright, so this is what you're solving for, and you're going to solve for x in these types of problems. And remember that a, b, or c, or really any other variable other than x that I use in these videos is just to kind of as a placeholder for other random numbers that they could use on the SAT or ACT in a problem. Alright, so let's move on to what the quadratic formula actually is. Alright, so here we have it written down, and the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And I know that that looks like a lot at first. I even thought it was a lot at first, but I'll break it down for you right now. Alright, so it's saying negative b, so whatever number is right here in the quadratic equation goes here, so that's negative, the negated version of b, and then it's plus or minus the square root of whatever b is in your quadratic equation. That's b, and then you square it, and then you take you do minus 4 times a, so it's this value, and then you do times c, which is this value, and you do that whole thing over 2 times a, which you'll see. Alright, so let's do an example if you still are kind of confused on what I'm saying here. So our example is 2x squared minus 4x minus 2 equals 0. Alright, so let's break it down using the quadratic formula. So first you're going to have negative b. And in this problem you'll see that b is negative 4, right? So, and you can tell that it's negative 4 because in this scenario it's 2x squared minus 4x. And in the original quadratic equation, it's using a plus. So you know that b has to be negative because there's a negative here. Alright? So you're going to know that b is negative 4 in this case. So you're going to do negative of negative 4. And this is actually going to end up being positive 4. Because you're taking the negative version of negative 4. And a negative times a negative equals a positive. So that's just going to be regular 4 here at the top, alright? And then you do plus or minus, so it's that step, and then you take the square root of b squared. So let's look at what b is again, so that's negative 4, and then you're going to square that, right? And then you're going to move on, and I'll simplify that later for you. And then you're going to move on, so it's negative 4. And then you want to get the a value, and in this case, the a value is 2. Right, so you multiply by 2. And then you have c, and in this problem, remember the same thing. This is a plus up here, but it's negative down here, so that means it's going to be negative 2. Right? And this whole thing is going to be over 2 times a again, so you have 2. And we're going to say that's a, right? And a is 2 in this case. So it's all going to be over there. And then let's start to simplify this a little bit more. So you have 4 plus or minus, as you see here, right? And then you're going to take the square root of negative 4 squared, and that would equal 16 because, once again, it's negative 4 times negative 4, and 2 negatives multiplied together equal a positive, so it would be positive 16. So you can put it right here. And then it's minus, and then you can multiply all of these together. So first you have 4 times 2, which equals 8. And then you can multiply that by negative 2. So that's going to equal negative 16 for you. So it's minus negative 16. But if you remember, a negative minus a negative is equivalent to a positive, right? So you're actually going to change this into a plus, right? You can get it down to that. And then you're gonna have this all over 2 times 2, which is 4, right? Do like that. All right, so let's continue to simplify this problem so you can get it to final total of 4 plus or minus root, and then you have, remember, 16 plus 16, which in this case is 32. All right, and all of this is over 4. All right, so